All right, we are back. It's been a while, but there's a good reason for that.
Yeah, took a break. Had to go out to Kansas City.
Had to go. Yeah.
Had to go. Had to go. Actually, it was it was a convention, is what it was in the end, with the award ceremony at the end of it. Uh, I didn't go out there for a convention. They had told me I'd won the award, and if I wanted to come out and accept it, come out and accept it. But I didn't care much for going out to a convention because it was a book writing convention, and it was how to do more publishing, more this, more that. It was started on a Thursday.
Oh, it wasn't a convention for like military specifically. It was a book writing
Yes, but
of all genres.
But for Military Writers Association.
Okay.
So whatever your book was, whatever your writing was, had to be connected back to the military somehow.
Okay.
So in that, for people who wrote books, because there were people out there that wrote, there was people that had 6, 7 books that they had written over time, and they were giving classes on different how to deal with publishers, editing, writing, these type things. I have no plans of writing another book, so I went out there strictly for the award part of it.
Those are famous last words, though.
Those are famous last words.
Uh-oh.
I did meet some people out there and heard some interesting things and talked about some interesting things and met a lot of people that came from different times within military history and military books that they wrote. And one of the guys, as I was sitting at the table, I mentioned one of the guys that's in my book, which is Captain Mobley.
Yes.
Who was at the Hanoi Hilton as a prisoner. And he said, man, I worked with that guy at the Pentagon. I knew him.
Really?
Yeah, he said I knew him when he got out. He was an admiral, and so it was interesting. Some of the people that I met, knowing people that I had talked about, and it just kind of made everything come full circle, and it was worth going out there for, and
Yeah.
I really did have a good time, and in Kansas City itself it's this big city with a little city feel. A lot of stuff going on. If I ever have an opportunity to go back or a reason to go back, I will go back. I really enjoyed my time out there. I thought it was a beautiful city. It's called the City of Fountains. They're everywhere, all over the place. You got, of course, the Kansas City Chiefs out there. There's just stuff going on constantly. And it was a very busy weekend. It was a very beautiful place. The place we stayed downtown was great. It's a very clean city. Transportation's free. Take you everywhere you want to go.
Really?
Yeah, it was great. I mean, they got a really good setup out there. So if you ever get a chance to go to Kansas City, Missouri, you need to go. If you have an opportunity to go, it was a good time.
Well, I have been. It was for a long weekend about 10 years ago, but I never really got to see much of the city. So that's free transportation.
Yeah, it's not a tram. It runs like a tram, though. It runs on a rail, but it looks like a bullet train almost. And it doesn't go that fast. But you can get on it, and it'll take you just about anywhere you want to go in the city. It don't charge you a dime.
Well, it wasn't free. The bar.
The bar was not free. No, it wasn't. No, it was a cash bar we had to pay for. But interesting group of people I sat with at my table. There was probably about 50 of us out there, and I had all the guys sitting at my table. Most of them were all Vietnam vets, helicopter pilots at some point. Had a real interesting conversation. Met some really interesting people, and it was worth my time to go out there. So I went out there with the intention of touring the city, getting to know Kansas City, looking around. A lot of things going on out there at the time. One of them being the Kansas City Chiefs were in town playing, so there were tons of people in. Kansas State College was in town playing. Tons of people in for that. 3 or 4 different concerts going on. Tons of people in for that. There was probably 4 or 5 different conventions at this center that we were staying at. Hotel was called the Westin. And to be honest with you, if you didn't want to leave, you didn't have to.
Nice.
I mean, everything was in there. Restaurants, bars, shops. You really would have never had to leave this place if you didn't want to. Across the street was the World War One Memorial Museum, which was in itself an amazing place. And at the same time, the NASCAR race was in town in Kansas City. So the place was just bustling. It was just, I just couldn't believe how wide open it was. It was nonstop. Busy, 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 right? So we get there on the first night, and I see the guys who I think probably are part of this Military Writers Association thing, but I didn't go and introduce myself right away because I wasn't sure, didn't even know where I was supposed to be. I saw some signs that said, hey, welcome in, you do this, blah, 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 blah. The next day, I went and introduced myself to some of these guys because I saw them, and they were like, hey, have you registered? I was like, no. So I went down, my wife went down when we were registered, and, of course, they gave you all the stuff that you needed to, gave you a schedule, told you, hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And I told them at that point, I said, listen, I came here for one reason, and it wasn't to sit through a bunch of publication classes, right?
No.
Because I'd never been to Kansas City. My wife had never been to Kansas City, and we wanted to tour Kansas City. Now, a couple of ironic things here. I have a buddy I was in the Marine Corps with that I went to Afghanistan with who has season tickets to the Kansas City games. Huge
Really?
Chiefs fan. Huge Chiefs fan. So I called him and said, hey, Tony, I'm coming out to Kansas City, brother. I'm going to be here on this weekend. He's like, well, I fly in every week for the ball game. He's a pilot. So he flies his private plane in. He flies into the ball game. He said, I got 4 seats. You and your wife, welcome to 2 of them. I've never been to a professional football game. With that said, neither am I a Kansas City Chiefs fan or a Baltimore Ravens fan.
Whoa, settle down now.
But I've never been to a professional football game. So the wife and I beat that around a little bit. Do we want to go to Kansas City? We may never go back again. And spend, because Saturday was the day I was going to be doing everything with the Military Writers Association. So we get in there on Friday, and we're going to be doing everything on Saturday. So the one day we can really tour the city is Sunday. So do we want to spend that Sunday at a football game, or would we rather go and see the city? We're weighing a lot there. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I knew what she wanted to do. So
that's what you did?
Well, not really. After we thought about it a little bit, I was like, you know what? What are the chances I'm ever coming back to Kansas City? And from what I had seen on that Friday, I was like, I think I want to tour the city too. So I told him, I said, brother, I appreciate it. Blah, 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 blah. Literally, I could call him tomorrow and fly out in 2 weeks to go to a ball game if I wanted to, right? I could. Plus, Kansas City's not doing that well anyway, right? So we decided against it. We said, hey, we'll go tour the city.
I mean, Taylor Swift might have been there.
Taylor Swift might have been there, which I could have really cared less. But anyway, that's another story. But I am a huge NASCAR fan. And I knew the race was out there. Well, my wife and I have already gone to a few races. We've been to a couple this year, last year, and, that was not in my wheelhouse to go to the race while I was out there.
Did you know ahead of time that it was going to be there?
I knew it was coming, because I follow their schedule and I follow them pretty heavy. I watch them every Sunday. Every Sunday I watch them. So here it is, this Friday night, we're there. They have a nice little bar, nice little restaurant, nice little everything down there. We weren't going to go out that night because we just got into town. So we're sitting there, and, we had a few drinks down at the bar, whatever the case may be. I'm going to get on the elevator to go upstairs. And the elevator opens. And here's this NASCAR driver. My brain immediately recognizes it, but my mouth can't get his name out. So I stop. My wife's kind of getting ready to step on the elevator. I think in her mind, She was like, this guy looks familiar to me too, right? So as he starts to go by me, I stop him and I go, hey, stop. And he turns and he looks at me and I go, Ricky Stenhouse? This is his name, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., right? Drives number 47. He said, yeah. And I went, oh my God. And I just reached over and I attacked this guy. I just hug him, wrap my arm around him. Because I'm just excited. I don't know why. I don't know what overcame me. I was just all excited.
Did he have security have to come?
No, he didn't. So he's same thing. He hugs me. He's like, yeah, hey, man, how are you? I said, I'm good. I think I had 2 bottles of water in my hand. I had just dropped them too, right? So
I love that he hugged you back.
I don't even know. Seemed like we're standing there 5
Just
minutes.
a warm embrace.
I'm sure it wasn't that long. So my wife and I, and especially her, we're not one to be hounds on famous people. You know,
Right.
we understand everybody's on you all the time.
Mm.
So, but my wife she was gracious. She was like, do you mind if he gets a picture? He's like, no, come on, get a picture. Well, there were 3 or 4 people coming up. There's 2 ladies and a guy. And they were like, stop, don't take a picture. I don't want to be in it. And they moved off to the side. So Ricky and I take a couple pictures. And we get it on the elevator. Ricky goes on his way. I'm on here with these 3 people. And I'm looking at my wife. I'm still kind of elated, right? I'm like, is that just the coolest thing? That just blows my mind. I'm running this guy getting off the...
You just hug him.
Turns out, the 3 people that were on the elevator with, they're all part of his public relations crew.
Oh.
Right. So they're like, you know Ricky Stenhouse? And I'm like, well, yeah, I know.
We're old friends now.
He's my favorite driver. So, which he wasn't. I mean, he is now.
He is now.
So we're going up the elevator. We're kind of talking about him. They get off on their floor up in the big penthouses or wherever they stay. Because I forgot to hit my floor, so I got to come back down. I'm not in the penthouse, right? And so we get in there, and wife and I go to the room. We're talking about it. It's kind of highlight of the night, right? It's funny. My friends we're going to be talking to, Mandy and Dennis, she is a huge NASCAR fan. So I call her in the room. She's like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, no. We call her Miss NASCAR. So if we have any questions, we ask her. So that was a big deal. I was like, that's great. I get up next morning.
I'm still just picturing like that you didn't hit your floor, and so they went up, doors open, they go to get off, and they're just looking at you.
Yeah,
You're just like,
hey, I forgot. Well, this is how stupid I am. I didn't realize to go to the floor I needed to go to, I had to put my key on the. Right. So they're all doing everything to the penthouse, and I'm just hitting buttons. I'm not going anywhere. So when we get up there, I'm like, well, we can't even get to the room. Okay, I'm figuring this out. You know, hey, I'm used to, we'll keep the lights on for you, the Motel 6. I wasn't used to staying anywhere kind of fancy. So we finally get down and we're in the room, and I'm talking about, and as I'm sitting there and I'm drinking, having a couple glasses of bourbon, talking, I look at my wife and I'm like, God, he must have thought, who is this psycho who just attacked me off the
followed me
elevator,
up to my floor.
Right? You know, what's going on? So I kind of laugh it off, no big deal. Get up next morning. She and I go to breakfast. Well, Starbucks right there. That's her breakfast, not mine. So I get a little something. She's got a Starbucks. Well, Ricky comes off the elevator, comes around to where the Starbucks is. He's walking by. So I run up to him. I'm like, hey, well, I didn't run.
He was gonna say, he was probably alarmed at that point.
I said, hey, I just want to apologize for attacking you last night. I'm sure that looked kind of. He was like, man. I mean, he was gracious, super nice guy. He was like, man, don't worry about it. No, that was great. No problem. Blah, 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 blah. Well, he's got another guy there that's with him that he's talking to. And Ricky's got his shoes in his hand. It's his driving shoes because he's fixing to go to track to go practice.
Oh.
So they're talking and they take off. And Ricky leaves, and I get to talking to this guy. His name's Todd. And he's part of the PR team, part of the money team. He's part of the team. He makes everything run. So he and I sit and talk for a minute, and I explained the thing to him. I was like, man, I feel so bad about it. He's like, man, don't worry about it. Ricky's good. He's good. He's blah, 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 this, that, and the other thing. Okay, no big deal. Well, I've got to go around to where I registered and display some of my books. So I go back up to the room after breakfast, get some of my books, and I'm going to take them down, and I'm going to display those books. Well, I'm thinking, I'll just give Ricky a book, right? They knew I was in town because they asked me, are you going to the race? And I said, no, that's not why I came out here. I came out for this book ceremony, supposedly getting an award, and that's the reason I came. I didn't come to watch the race, and I had no intention of going to the race at all. I said, plus, we kind of wanted to see the city while we were here. So I go upstairs, and I tell my wife, I think I'm just going to give Ricky a book. She said, hey, I think that's a great idea. So I sign the book, I take it down. And the guy's still sitting there. Ricky's gone. And I hand it to him, to Todd. And I said, hey, would you see Ricky? Would you give him this book for me? I'd appreciate it. He said, sure, no problem. So he grabs the book. I walk off. I go around to where everybody's displaying the books, put the books out, put everything out. You don't have to stay there. If someone wanted to buy your book, you put how to obtain it, and so on and so forth. And you can leave them there for like 7-8 hours that day. Yeah. And then you can go off and tour the city because unless you're going to some of these classes that I'm not going to.
Who would do that?
So as I'm coming back by, apparently he had read the back of the book. And it flipped through some of the chapters real quick.
Todd or Ricky?
Todd.
Okay.
And he said, hey, come here. Sit down a second. So we sit down and we start talking. So he starts asking me about the book, where the concept came from, this, that, and the other thing. We had quite a lengthy conversation. He was like, well, man, that's just interesting. I said, well, can you just make sure he gets it? He said, yeah, absolutely. I'll make sure he gets it. I said, I appreciate it. I leave, I go on about my business. So the wife and I are planning on going to the World War I Memorial, which is right across the street from the hotel. This place is amazing. You could spend 2 days in it. You really could. We really wanted to go there. We really wanted to go check it out. So we head across the street. We're going to go to the memorial. And as we're stepping outside, here stands Todd, his PR crew. All these people are standing there. They walk up to us and said, hey, listen, I know you weren't planning on going to the race, but would you come as our guest and sit down in the pits? Maybe you could sit on the pit box and watch the race.
What?
And I could see the wife's head going, oh, there ain't no way in hell he ain't going to turn this. He's taking this deal. It don't matter what is happening tomorrow. He's going to the race, right? With or without me. So she knows. I mean, this is an opportunity that you don't get every day of the week.
Right.
It's just
it
may never come again. So I looked at her and she just okay, yeah, we're right. Going. So I was like, absolutely. And then Todd's wife, she's kind of the greeter of everything. She's like, yeah, these are like $500 passes a piece. So, but we want y'all to come. We want you to sit on the pit box. We want you to hang out. Wow. We want you to hang out with Ricky. Hang out in his trailer. We want you to come down and get the full NASCAR experience, which I've never had.
In the trailer?
Everything, the whole deal. And I'm like, well, yes, we'll do this. I want to turn it. So show up here at this time. The passes will be waiting. And y'all come on down. Blah blah blah. Well, now I'm just ecstatic. But we go to the World War I Memorial, and we do our thing there. Go back that night. Had a good ceremony. Ceremony was great. And you can actually, they tape that live on Facebook. So. Oh, really? Yeah, you can actually find that on there. And I got to give a little bit of a speech, and they told me afterwards. After the thing was over, we all met at the bar, all the old guys, and there was some old Navy captains there and so on and so forth. They're like, man, you gave the best speech of the whole night. My speech was very short. Basically said, thank you guys for solidifying this for me. You made a bunch of teachers look very bad. Just they all told my mom that I was a dumbass coming along. So, and that was pretty much the end of my speech. But that's kind of the way it went. And you know, it was a good night. And I met good people and I heard good stories. I heard some great stories.
I bet.
And we had a few on into the night, and everybody told probably a whole bunch of lies. I'm pretty sure, and I won't forget them. But got up the next morning and took off and went down to the Kansas Speedway.
Wow.
Got us an Uber, went down there, got out, walked in. It was the easiest thing. Gave my name, gave passes, gave us everything. We walked right into the pits. Go right into Ricky's hauler. He's there. Just the nicest guy you'll ever meet. I mean, just down to earth. All of the people I dealt with that day were just some of the most down to earth, real life people. And I'm seeing a side of NASCAR I never knew existed. You know, it's just a different world down there then. 'Cause I'm going to watch a race, right? They're going to work. That's
True.
two different things. That is absolutely two different things. So, for me, I'm looking at it from a fan side. These guys are getting up going to earn their money. It didn't treat me any different. I wasn't in their way. If I asked a question, they answered it. If I wasn't sure about something, they told me. Told me what I could take pictures of, what I couldn't, this, that, the other thing. They were very generous to us all. And it was just an amazing day. And I sat on that pit box watching those guys race, watching that pit crew work right in front of me, which is something you really only see on TV.
Yeah.
And those guys, they're there to do a job, man, and they're working. They're working. They're not even watching the race. They're watching computers. I got engineers sitting in front of me, crew chiefs sitting in front of me. They're not even talking to the driver. They're talking to a spotter. Spotter's the only one talking to a driver. There's 15 people talking, but only those two can talk. Because he can't listen to all those people.
Right.
So everything's being relayed to him, right? He's quiet. He's calm. He's professional. And then he wrecks.
Oh, no.
Yeah, wasn't his fault. Gets banged up. I can't really see it from where I'm at, but he got TV screens up there. So it doesn't look bad. But he's saying, yeah, it's bad. You know, and the spotter's like, it's bad. And when he gets back around to the pits, it's bad. And his day was done.
Oh,
and
no.
it was only with about, 30 laps to go. So I'll probably never be invited back to a race for anybody if they watch this interview. But but the funny thing was, I was talking to his crew chief before the race started. The crew chief, kind of the brains of the operation there, works with the engineers and make sure everything works together. And so I'm asking him about the car, and I kind of introduced myself, and he said, yeah, Ricky was talking about you at dinner last night. He was talking about your book.
Oh.
And I was like, really? Kind of threw me off a little bit, right?
You expect him to be like, this guy just attacked me outside the elevator.
You're the one that attacked Ricky coming off the elevator. But no. But he was great, man. He was professional. His team was professional. His people were professional. His pit crew, all of them, like all these, used to be football players, college football players that didn't move on to the NFL.
Really?
Strong monsters.
Well, they throw those tires. Those tires are not light.
And the jack and the gas cans themselves weigh a little bit over 100 pounds.
Really?
And they're just awkward the way you have to hold them. But
wow.
The operation's just it's like it's a dance, and the way they made everything work, it was just I was very impressed with what I saw. But the biggest part, I think, what impressed me the most is the part I didn't think about. They're at work.
Yeah.
I go to the race for the enjoyment of watching the race. They go to the race to go to work. And when they're done, they get on a plane. And they get home at whatever, 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning, 11 at night. Monday morning, they're at work. They're getting ready for next week. So they never go watch a race.
Yeah, that's true.
They go to work. And I was watching all the computers that were sitting in front of me where they were sitting. So I had 4 guys in front of me. And then you got 3 TVs up here so you can see. Because you can't see, if you're sitting here, you're not seeing anything back there. You may catch what's coming out of each turn and what's in front of you. But none of the what's on the computers, all analytics, you know, how much fuel, what the engine's doing, what's this, what's that. All these engineers, and they're never looking up. They're just paying attention to what's going on there. And they know everything that's going on without ever watching the race. And it's a pretty interesting concept. It's a big operation. It's a lot bigger than what I thought it was. But I have a whole different respect for that side of NASCAR, especially from that pit crew side of NASCAR and what they do and how they work and what they have going on. So, and as much as I enjoy that, and I'm glad I got to do that, I will probably never accept that offer again because I'd rather be watching the race.
Really?
Yes.
But you're glad you
I wouldn't have
you
turned
would have
it.
missed that race in a heartbeat to have that experience.
And I wouldn't have turned it down for the world. Would not have turned it down for the world. And the funny thing is, I'm staying in touch with those people right now.
Really?
Yeah, I'll text them and be like, good luck to Ricky this week, blah, 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 because he finished 14th Sunday. So they're like, yeah, we got a 14th place, you know, we'll take it, we'll listen to that. I think this week, if we can get this thing edited and out before Sunday, I think this week's his week. The race at Talladega is a big speedway.
Oh.
He's good at the speedways. I think this could be Ricky's week, you know. And they know about his podcast.
Oh, they do? Okay.
I wrote it down in the book, yeah.
I was going to ask.
So, you know, maybe they'll take a look at it and see. Get it up
the next
running.
day or so and send them a link.
So after he wrecked, this was another interesting thing. So he wrecks, and I'm getting to listen to everything that's going on. I don't get to talk. Of course, they didn't want me to.
They didn't want your advice?
They didn't want my advice. You know, it's like I'm talking to the crew chief. It's funny because, you know, as crew chief, these guys are absolutely, they're engineers. I mean,
right.
They shave this much off of something to make the car do something totally different. And I'm having a conversation with him. And I can see my wife standing over there. And she's standing with Todd's wife, who's kind of the lady who takes you around and introduces you to everybody. And I could see her face going, what is he even saying to this guy? Because there's nothing I know, right? But I'm asking him intelligent questions, and you know, I'm like, I remember when I was young, this car was this way, and they say it's this way, and he's explaining everything to me, and it's just so technical that it's unbelievable. Those cars, they're just built the same now. You know, it's hard to get an advantage one over the other.
Yeah,
and that's why they're always so close together. So, you know, he explained a lot of that to me. So I looked like I knew what I was talking about, but you know, as I'm standing there having this conversation, but I didn't know what I was talking about. But I made it look good.
Kind of like me talking to you about your book.
Right. Well,
I have
you know,
no idea.
Right. Something along those lines,
I'm
right?
like, yes.
So that was just a very interesting day. So he wrecks, and he's coming in, and on the thing they're telling him, they're going, "Hey, Ricky, back it up, pull into the garage," because I sat in between where you had to go in the garage up on a box. He said, "Do you see the number 5 garage where the official's standing? Get in there, get in there, get in there." So he drives in there. And everybody leaves. Just all leave. It's kind of just like me and the wife sitting there. Everybody's...
You grab a wrench and you're like, I got this.
Off. And so I'm standing there looking, and she's looking at me like, are they going to race again? And I'm like, I don't know. You know, because, you know, the other cars, you still coming in for pit stops and so forth. And finally, Todd's wife comes up there, and she starts grabbing stuff. I said, "Are they going to?" She goes, "We're not sure yet. Well, then this pit crew comes back, and they just start packing stuff up, throwing stuff, slamming things. It's over. I don't know it's over, but it's kind of telling me, look, they're taking this thing apart, and we're sitting on top of it. So we get down, and Todd comes over, and I'm like, Todd, he goes, yeah, it's over. He said, they're done. He said, y'all might as well take off and go get something to eat, and y'all got a long flight back tomorrow, whatever the case may be. But those guys were leaving there. They get on a plane, and they fly out that day. And so you take Sunday, they were in Las Vegas. Well, the race didn't start here. They're based out of Charlotte. That's where the shop is. So the race didn't start here till 5 o'clock, which would be 3 o'clock out there. Mm-hmm. So when that race is over here, it's 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock at night. They pack up, get on a jet, 2 o'clock in the morning, they land in Charlotte. Monday morning, they're back at work. So the operation's unbelievable. And inside that trailer, they carry, they got an extra car up top just in case they wreck one. They let you take a picture of pretty much everything in there. She said, I'm going to show you something you cannot take a picture of. Put your phone away. So we put our phones away. She opens up this large cabinet, and it's an engine. And it's a beautiful engine. I don't even know engine. I'm like, look at this thing, right?
It's shiny.
It is. She goes, they will fight you over this. You cannot take a picture of this. So a few years back, may have been last year, a few years back, I can't remember. Ricky Stenhouse ended up in a wreck. And it was pretty much early on. And I can't remember who it was. It may have been Kyle Busch. But when it was over, the crew chiefs, or the pit crews got in a fight. Well, the pit crew that got in a fight, Ricky's pit crew, at that time, they looked pretty wimpy. Well, she told me that wasn't those pit guys over there. That was not the guys that throw it. It was these engineers. They were mad as hell over that engine. So these little wimpy engineers went after everybody else. So it wasn't the big guys throwing the jacks around, right? That's why the size difference looks so much. They were mad about that engine. I mean, that's their thing. And apparently those things are not cheap. And Ricky Stenhouse's group, where you have people like Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Bowman, they're all a team.
Right.
They all work for Hendricks. He's his own team. He doesn't have anybody else. He's all by himself. So his team is a standalone team.
Oh.
Yeah. So he can't steal, beg, and borrow from other people like some of these other teams can. Oh. So and he's not the only one in NASCAR like that. You have the Wood brothers, they're a standalone team. But then you have like Hendricks and Penske, and they got 4 or 5 different cars in there, right? They all kind of work together. So it's there's a lot of competition in that too, and how they have to sometimes beg, borrow, and steal to keep themselves moving and shaking. A lot of money goes into that. A lot of money goes into that. But impressed with Ricky Stenhouse as a human. Impressed with Ricky Stenhouse's people, his team, everybody that he had around him, his operation. Just a class act. And going out there for what I went out there for was not the highlight.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was. It was a good time. It's a good time. But if you ever get a chance to go to Kansas City, Missouri, I'd go. It's worth the trip. It's worth the trip, yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about what you were there for.
Well, I was there for one of the 3 medals for a book and a memoir, either a silver, gold, or bronze. I ended up getting the bronze.
Congratulations, though.
Yes, I'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It still makes me an award writing winner, no matter how you look at it.
It does.
Yes. And
to clarify, I saw the list. There was only, I don't know, 10 books total across all the awards, gold, silver, and bronze total. So of all the books written about military and military experiences, there were only 10 total that Military Writers Society deemed worthy of an award. So
Yes.
so bronze is fantastic.
And I was impressed with the way they narrowed everything down as well. I knew that my book was going to be reviewed and critiqued by 3 different reviewers. I just didn't know how they did it. And they would not tell you this prior.
Oh,
So once you won and you got your packet and everything back, you received all the reviews of the 3 reviewers that hit you. Well, they do it from 3 different ways. And the first guy that reads your book, he comes back and gives a review of, hey, this is what I thought about this book from the time period, from the history, from the way it was written, from this to that. And it's a pretty good review. And it's a public review. You can read it.
oh,
The second guy does it from kind of a different standpoint. He does it, critiques it with the cover of the book, the back of the book, how it all kind of flows.
so he judges a book by its cover.
He judges a book by its cover. So the cover's perfect to go with the book. The book flows this way. Everything on the back of the book, everything. He kind of does it in a different way. The third guy is the guy they tell you, we don't want you to put out publicly what he says about your book.
Oh,
Because he's the one that gets in the weeds, way in the weeds. But I'm going to tell you a couple of things he said
just some highlights.
about my book, which
So he's looking at things like historical accuracy, like just the details of what you're actually talking about to make sure it's not just like
constructive criticism,
gotcha.
which, by the way, being a military guy, I love.
Yeah.
I mean, you, if I was decided to ever write another book, his review's the first one I'm going to, because you don't get better without constructive criticism. And I don't care what you do for a living, your job, my job, it doesn't matter. If you can't take good constructive criticism, and here's one, I'll give you 2 examples. In the introduction of that book, as I wrote about the history of our country, and I put things in there like this: how tainted our history is at times, that we have burnt so-called witches, and that we never burnt a witch. We never burnt a witch.
It's true.
We
burned
hung
people.
them, and we pressed them, but we never ever burnt a witch.
What?
Never.
Well,
They hung them and they pressed one, and the one they pressed was a man, and he puts all this in there. And I go back and look
Really?
it up, and I'm like, are you kidding me? We did not ever burn a witch.
what?
We hung them. And the one that we pressed, and I don't know if you know what pressing is.
I don't, and I'm almost scared to ask.
Well, they lay you down and they put rocks on you
Okay.
to try to get you to confess it until you don't, and they crush you to death. It's called pressing. And this was a witch's husband. We never burnt a witch.
Well, they also weren't actually witches.
They weren't witches. True.
That's where I thought you were going with this when you were like, we haven't burned a witch. I was like, that's right, we haven't.
But you know, and then
But
I
know
think
what you-
okay. Though for the average
really?
reader, for the average reader, you go right by that, right? Not this guy. It's his job to pick up on it. And I was glad.
None?
None. Never burnt any of them.
I feel so
We hung
misled.
them and then we pressed one. Never burnt one. And I thought, wow. So I go back and he quotes it to me and shows me where. And I go back and I look it up and I go, my God, he's right.
So you verified him.
Oh, I
Because
verified.
I'm second guessing him, like it's just sitting here. I'm
verified,
like, he's wrong.
100% verified.
Unbelievable.
Here's the other thing. I talk about the Bill of Rights, first 10 Bill of Rights. I don't know if he meant this as an opinion or if this is the way it should have went, but it sounds right to me. The first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights.
There's only one Bill of Rights. There's no such thing as 10 Bill of Rights.
Right.
Oh,
So,
I like this guy.
I do too. I do too, right?
I didn't at first because I think his witch's comment was nonsense. But I like this guy.
And
now.
I'm like, he's right. Now, there wasn't a lot. There really wasn't a lot.
Well, that's good.
There was a few different things in there, but none of it that an average, everyday American dude would have ever caught, right? But I thought, man, that's deep. That's attention to detail. That is an attention to detail that I missed. I was just going off of what I was in my mind and didn't really, Next time, if I decide I'll do deeper dive.
Yeah. You won't talk about the 10 Bill of Rights.
No, sir. It'll be the first
the
10
one
amendments,
Bill of
right?
Rights.
Be the Bill of Rights. So I enjoyed that actually.
Yeah, I think that's very cool.
So when the guy explained that to me, he was like, "Hey, you're going to get a packet, and in this packet, you're going to get the 3 guys that reviewed your book, and you're going to get them from different points of view. And there's one guy in there who has a specific point of view. Don't let it discourage you." It actually did me more. It didn't discourage me at all. It gave me a new outlook more than it did anything else. I appreciated his review over everybody else's.
Yeah, it's interesting because I could see, like, I'm just kind of excited talking about it because, I think that's great. You could see how somebody would be like, oh my gosh, like, really? Like, that's what you're talking about?
Right.
And those are the people who would get discouraged by it.
Right.
But no, I'm with you. I think it keeps you on your toes, but in a way, and challenges you, but in a way that's very cool, I think.
Well, and I was explaining that to one of my buddies, and he was like, "Well, that's kind of minute." And I'm like, "Well, no, it's really not. It's really not.
It's not.
Because if you're dealing with somebody, if I have a real honest to God historian comes along and reads this, and the first thing they do is read my introduction, they're going to go, the rest of this book's not worth reading."
Right. You're trying to write a historical book, and you're like, we burned witches.
And this guy he don't know what he's talking about, and I'm on page 2. So why would I read?
You're still in the Roman numerals at the beginning of the.
So what if you went to what is it, Kindle, where they let you preview the first 3 pages or something?
Yeah.
I'm not buying his book. This guy's inaccurate. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Hey, that could be a non-seller.
Yeah.
Right? So, no,
That's
I
true.
appreciated the constructive criticism. It did not affect me in any way, shape, or form. It actually, if it would have done anything, it would make me a better writer if I decided to go that route again. It would, no doubt.
Wow. So I said I saw the winners list. There was a lot on like Vietnam and World War II, and
Most of them are Vietnam.
I think there was only one other one on Iraq, if I'm not mistaken.
There was. There was a lot of Vietnam vets there, and I think you probably have more books on Vietnam than you do any other war. And I say that because after the Vietnam War, and I'm talking in modern times, after the Vietnam War, Vietnam veterans didn't want to tell their story for a plethora of reasons. One of the reasons being the way they were treated when they got back. And they thought that so many, who wanted to hear it?
Yeah.
Nobody cared.
And if they did, it was negative.
Correct. And then there was a change in the tide in the country, probably after the Gulf War, when people started to go, man, Vietnam vets got a bad rep. And if you can remember, everybody started the welcome home to the Vietnam vets. Welcome home. And I think at that time, they started opening up and going, you know what, it's okay for me to tell my story now. And then you just got a massive amount of Vietnam veteran books just flooded the military side, and they're continuing to do it. So if you spent, I wrote that book, and that was over 25 years of time, 4 different tours.
This book, your book.
And then including 3 years, 2 to 3 years in Iraq. These guys, some of them were on tours from 1964 to 1975. Think of the way that war changed and the amount of books and different types of books they could write within that 10-year period of things that went on. So, you know,
it was very different in 1964 than 1975.
You better believe it, right? So from when they went in, through the Tet Offensive, to the withdrawal, just so many things that happened. So, you know, a lot of stories that they always wanted to tell that they never told, and all of a sudden just started coming to the forefront. So I was there with a lot of guys. That most of them were Vietnam guys. Yeah.
I'm actually in the middle of a Netflix documentary. I watched the one that you told me to, the one on Osama bin Laden.
What'd you think?
It was amazing.
Wasn't it?
It was amazing. It was really well done.
Yeah.
So well done. And the whole time when they were talking about, they spent a lot of time being like, we didn't go in the mountains. They didn't want to go to the mountains. And I'm like, I wonder whose idea that was to not go in the mountains.
Don't go in the mountains. And then they're like, we're sending y'all to the mountain. No, you're not. I'm not going up there. You going to bring me a lot more equipment before I go up there. You know, no. And they were right. The mountains were the key to that whole thing. We could have, we could have shut that thing down quick.
I know. And I'm watching it going, while they're all complaining about somebody didn't want to go up there. I'm like, who was that?
There you go. Exactly.
I think I know who that guy was.
Exactly. It was me. We ain't going. I ain't going up there. You're not giving me the right equipment to go up there.
But it was great. And so after that, I'm on one on Vietnam. It's like the third one I've watched like in the last 6 months, but I'm watching one on Vietnam. So yeah, I mean, everything you're saying is, I mean, obviously it's accurate, unlike your witch burning story.
Sure.
But you're so right. Not just talking about the difference between 1964 and 1975, but yeah, I mean, like they felt like they couldn't say you couldn't say anything critical. You couldn't say anything praising it. Like you couldn't, just pretty much nothing. And after World War II, people just didn't want to. Like they came back to their lives as best they could, and they kind of went to work, and you know, it just, telling your story just wasn't in their DNA after like World War II.
No, and because it was such a massive amount of people coming back and having to go right into a workforce to keep the country going, because it was all women running everything. So men had to come back and get into the workforce. They didn't have time to sit around and go, well, let's write a memoir. You know, we got to get back. We got to get the country back. We got to get flowing. Got to get moving again. So, you know, different times cause different things to happen. And one of the other things I found that I was kind of shocked about, and I asked around while I was there, some of the guys, where are the Korean vets?
I'm in the middle of I'm watching two simultaneously. One on Amazon Prime on the Korean War, because it's like, you know, MASH was about the Korean War, but you don't see or hear anything.
Right.
About it.
Where's the Korean War? Where are these guys? Where are these guys at? Because you want to talk about some stories to come out, like the Chosen Frozen. Some of these guys are just, where are these stories at? They're hard to find.
They are. It's hard to find a documentary on any of the main streaming services. You look up Vietnam, there's a bunch of them. World War II, tons of them.
So my World War II vets,
Korea.
you know, they're dying off. If I think the last Pearl Harbor survivor just died, actually, I just saw. If my World War II vets are dying off, they're next. And there's a gap. There's a story there that needs to be preserved. I'm sure it's out there, but not in the quantities of other wars that I see. I'd like to see that preserved as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So big deal.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. So this is funny. We've talked that you have fans. We know you have fans. I had people who just through this knew when you were going to Kansas City, and that weekend were texting me, "Have you heard what he won? Have you heard what he won?" And I said, "No, you got to wait until we get back." I had one person, won't say their name. I had one person text me a screenshot of the award winners. Like that weekend, like that day. It was like, "Oh, he won bronze." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh.
Really?
You've got fans.
Really?
You've got fans." I mean, but they were invested.
Oh.
They were invested, as we all are. So you did say your plan is to not write another book.
That's my plan. So I talked to some of these guys and we talked about writing styles. We talked about different things. And we talked about one of the other things we had a long conversation about was my time as a school resource officer. And could that book be helpful? Could that be helpful to other school resource officers? Could it? The stories that go with it, the way could it? Could it be? Could it?
That could fill up. You could do a whole series.
I'm not at the point now to say never.
And I know that this is, I don't know if this is off topic or not. I don't care. I think the thing that's so fascinating is that this does cover, what was it you said, how many, 4 tours?
25 years.
25 years,
well,
4 tours.
Actually, that book starts to cover from like 1983
Oh, it does.
to
That's
2006.
Right. That's right.
So what is that, 40 years?
You're not that old. But I think, I mean, you are such a character in this story. I mean, obviously it's about you and your experiences that I think that people who, and this is, again, I mentioned this last time, a testament to your ability as a writer. I think people are equally fascinated by the story and what happened, which is what this was never meant to be about Dana Cato.
No.
This was about the story, what happened. But I think that you've done such a good job. People are interested in that, in the content of it, but people are also interested in you and how you handle this. And Artie Gurka's ever going to like you, and just all of this stuff that people are equally interested in you as a person, personally, in addition to the stories that you're telling. So, I mean, I'm saying I think people would enjoy another story, or two. Like maybe one in the sheriff's department and then one as a school resource. I don't know. Well, maybe a trilogy.
One of the things that these guys here, as I sat with them at the table, and they were like, "Well, when did you decide to become an author?" And I said, "I'm not an author. That's not what I do."
You would have gone to one of those lame classes if you were.
That's once again, I didn't come out here to write. And the guy said to me, sitting at the table, these guys who've written 6 or 7 books, well, whether you want to admit it or not, yes, you are.
And an award-winning one at that.
And then that was strange hearing it come that way. Because, once again, I don't consider myself an author.
Well, and I don't even know that it's that, just because I've known you for over 10 years, I guess. It's not that you're an author, it's that you're a storyteller.
I can buy that.
You are an amazing, always have been an amazing storyteller. And not everyone who's a good storyteller can put pen to paper and turn it into something written that's good or interesting. But you and the people who I know have read this, who know you, they read it and they just hear you say and see you saying it. You do such an amazing job of the stories that everybody knows that you're great at telling. Like it translates so well. Like you do such a good job of translating it into a written format that you're just a good storyteller. So you got a lot more stories to tell.
Well, that was a God-given talent, I guess. I didn't, like I said, this wasn't planned. I would have always liked to have put it on paper. Um, you know, if it hadn't been for COVID, it would have never happened. You and I wouldn't be sitting here, and that's a fact. Uh, but that going to Kansas City and sitting with these guys and talking with these guys and listening to some of their journeys and how they came along and how they, because not all those books, of course, there's a lot of people that write books down there that never were in the military, which was strange to me. One guy wrote one called Force Recon 1, I think it was. Fictional book, but the parts in it where they do their special operations.
Oh, it was a fictional book?
It's a fictional book. So he never been in the military, ever. He's written 3 or 4 of these things, like a Tom Clancy, I guess. But the special operations part of this book, the way they would carry on about it, the detail within that operation, he did his homework. Apparently better than I did mine.
But he knew witches were
right, right. But so you don't have to necessarily be in the military to be put in for an award for a Military Writers Society book. It's just got to connect to the military. That was the first thing I asked when I got there. Are all these guys in the military? No, they don't have to be.
Well, that makes your award even more prestigious.
Yeah.
You're talking about the scope of people who wrote the books. It's not limited to people in the military. So that makes it even more impressive.
Yeah, yeah. And I think there was one lady there that won an award for, her book dealt with, she was a psychologist, and it was on dealing with guys with PTSD and some of the things that she was doing in order to kind of help them, transpire along. So it was just a plethora of books that were there and different written so many different ways on so many different things, but they all connected back to the military somehow. And but I believe that night that my book was the only modern war book that won an award that night. If you talk in 21st century. I think everything else was 20th and beyond. Yeah.
So you're a writer for the modern times.
For the modern times. Apparently, because I don't know a damn thing about witches. I won't be writing a ghost story anytime soon. So, but no, I just thought all of that when you compile everything together and you take all the knowledge that everyone gave you or that you learned or you saw, and it was well worth my time to go out there and do what I did. It was a good time. I enjoyed it.
That's good.
So if I write another one, I think the next one's in Orlando. They don't race in Orlando. Ooh. They race in Daytona. So
Daytona's on the way.
I know, so I'll have to get it close.
Daytona's on the way to Orlando.
Give Ricky a call on my way down.
I know.
Where you staying at?
He'll have extra security. So it's in case nobody attacks him.
Well, there's 39 race car drivers there. He's the only one I ran into. And I follow NASCAR and have always known who Ricky Stenhouse Jr. was. And he is a decent driver, especially on these super speedways like they're coming up with on Sunday. But he wasn't my top guy. He is now.
He is now.
So, because I'd gone down to a race in Las Vegas, back in 98, maybe 99. It's actually the first year they raced Las Vegas.
Oh.
And a buddy of mine who was from Montana saw me watching a NASCAR race one Sunday. We lived on base housing up in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And he was like, why? I get that all the time from people who know nothing about NASCAR. Why? And I always say, you ever been to one? No? Well, let's go. So I took him, and we got down in the pits. Now, we kind of tricked our way down in there. We weren't supposed to be there. Ended up running out before it was over with. But a lot of drivers we ran into while we were trying to get autographs or so on and so forth were pretty rude.
Really?
Yeah.
I bet Kyle Busch was.
And I'm talking, I'll go back to Mark Martin and Tony Stewart, and back in
I
those
used to
days.
like Mark
yeah,
Martin.
yeah, I did too.
He was rude?
Yeah, because they were just, we don't have time for you. We don't have time for you. Don't have time. Well, your fan base is your fan base, right?
Yeah.
But Ricky Stenhouse, man, he'd sit down and drink a cup of coffee with you. He's just that kind of guy. So I didn't meet any of the other ones while I was down there. I didn't try to. Didn't, just so. But I just I enjoyed that, and I was glad I'll never forget that day. That was a highlight. That was a highlight for me. So, but just really wanted to give a shout out to him and his team because they're just a great group of people, really are. So when he comes back around here to Darlington next year, I'm trying to jump on.
Yeah.
I'm not
Or
sitting
Charlotte.
I'm not sitting on that box though. I want to go somewhere else. I want to watch the race. I don't want to work.
You don't want to look at screens and
At one point, I thought they were
analytics.
going to be like, "Get out of here, grab a tire, bring it around." No,
you're just standing there with a tire.
I ain't come to work. Yeah, I'm not sure I could have lifted one of those tires. But no, interesting day. I think my wife enjoyed it too. She did. She took it all in. She saw it from a different side as well. I promise you, she's never gonna sit on one of those boxes again. She'll go, but she's gonna want to sit up in one of those boxes.
Yeah, really. With the food and everything.
Yeah. But it was a really good time, and I think we're both better people for the experience, and God bless them. We appreciate it.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
That was a good weekend.
It was a good weekend.
Well deserved. Well deserved. Okay. Well, none of this was specifically about a certain chapter in the book. None of it was supposed to be. It was, we wanted to hear about you and the ceremony and all the extras, like the race that came along with it. So I guess it was worth bailing on the Chiefs-Ravens game then.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. My buddy's probably not real happy with me, but it is what it is.
It's all right. He'll get over it.
I need you guys to hit that subscribe button and like on that YouTube channel. And next week, we're gonna get Catfish 126 in here.
We are.
We're gonna get moving back on the road.
That's exciting. We got some good stuff planned for that.
Yes.
I'm excited about that.
All right.
All right. Well, congratulations again, and we will see you guys next time.